Hello everyone, this is the great Lord and Master Osiron, the Eternal, for what's going to be a continuation of the Pentagram video I just made, but this is really a lot more than that. The reason I'm going to include the Pentagram is because there's some key things with that I left out, but this is a short aspect of it. Here's the Pentagram, or what I'm calling Lord Osiron's Unicursal double pentagram. And what it is, I fixed this a little bit. What you have in the middle is the 0 point. And what you do is you create the structure using one flow. And it starts in the center with 0, and it goes down to 1, follow this line to 2, this line to 3, this line to 4, this line shoots straight through to 5, this line to 6, this line to 7, and this line to 8, and then this line goes back to the middle for 9. And this reveals the two pentagrams, the normally upright pentacle and the inverted, which is associated with evil, but this is not the case at all. And what this does is produces counter-rotating vortexes. This top one is constructed using a clockwise vortex, and the lower one is constructed using a counterclockwise vortex. And now with the numbers, the reason I'm even adding this to this video is because it produces some amazing things with the numbers too. What it does is all the lower numbers, the 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4 become a 1, and all the upper numbers, the 6, 7, or 5, 6, 7, 8 become an 8. But it's also separated into the columns. If you call this pillar the feminine and this the masculine, all of these numbers add up and reduce to a 7, and all of these add up to reduce to a 2, and that gives you this number of 72, which is a pretty powerful number, and I have videos about that. But it also reveals the angles of the pentacle itself, of the pentagram itself. The angles of the pentagram, the three main ones, this one's 72, the other one is 108, and the other is 36. All those are part of the angles of the pentagram. So we see this here with the 72. Now you see the 1 and the 8 here, but don't forget the center point is 0, so it actually shows them all. You got 1, 0, and 8. But the ones that don't show up is the 3 and 6. So the 3 and 6 don't show up visually, but it's sort of like a poetic expression of the divine reality of Kundalini, because don't forget the 3 and the 6 are the numbers that the 3 and the 6 are the numbers that represent Kundalini. But Kundalini is invisible. We can't sense Kundalini. All we can see is the physical manifestation of Kundalini, but you can't point at something and say it's Kundalini. And this is showing up with the numbers beautifully because it's showing all the other numbers. You got the 7 and the 2, you got the 1, 0, 8, but the 3 and 6 don't show up in the code of numbers. So it's sort of like a poetic expression that Kundalini is invisible and you can't see it, but it's there. It's there in the angles of this, like that. So that's that. This is the end of that. But this is what I really want to get to here. What this is it's another expression of the infinite web of fractality that I made a video about. And you'll really want to watch that. As a matter of fact, I'll link that video below here. This is just another expression of that. But it's laid out in diamonds. But before I get to this, there's one thing I have to do. I have to tear apart the Ashiana-Dean structure more thoroughly because it's going to reveal something. See, what this is over here, this is a little bit more of a completed version of the Ashiana-Dean structure, but I don't know if Ashiana-Dean refers to this as a tree of life, but there are other people who do. There's people who call this the universal tree of life, and it's not just my friend. There's other people who do it too. And I don't know if Ashiana-Dean does that, I can't say. I think she just uses this as a astral time travel matrix, but I can't be positive. But this is a little bit closer to what's actually going on. What's missing are the lines that connect here, and then down here and here, because as you can see, this 1 and this 12 don't belong on this structure. And I explained in the previous video more what's going on here, so you'll also want to watch the video before this. I explain what this is and how this comes to be, okay, and why it's even here at all. But what happens is the 1 doesn't belong here and the 12 doesn't belong here because it fucks up the order. But where the 1 and 12 really do reside are here. So the 1 would fit here, and then the 12 would fit over here in the continuation, because all this is just one of 3 possible structures using this, the chevron structure, you know what I mean? Because I explained in the other video how this is actually 2 structures. You got the chevron structures, and then this 2 is part of a different structure. But in this format, there's actually 3 structures going on. You got the initial chevron structure here, these 9 spheres. This 12 would be part of the 3rd structure, and this 2 and 1 would be part of the 2nd structure. And so this is using 12 spheres, and it reveals 12 structures. As a matter of fact, if you watch Osiron Tarot Spiral 9, the Tarot, Zodiac, and Hard Science, it gets into the nature of 12. Because 12, what is 12 reduced to? 3. Well, with seeing this is using 12 spheres, and in the chevron format, it's actually showing 3 structures. And again, as I said, all this is one of 3 possibilities of the infinite web of fractality. Because this is the infinite web of fractality. This would be the 369 column here, and the 2, this is this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. This is this. You got the 12 and then the 1 here. This is this. And the other one, of course, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is the middle one. And the other one would be 0. It'd start at 9. So 0, 9 would be 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is only one of 3 structures in the web format if you're using it as the chevron layout, which we see here. And to clarify, just to show you again, see this is the 369 column, okay? So this would be the joining of masculine and feminine. This would be the masculine pillar, and this would be the feminine. And this would be the zipper. This alleyway here would be the zipper, and this would also be a zipper over here, using that video as a template. But what this is, as you can see, when you put the 1 in the proper place here and the 12 in the other proper place, it reveals sort of like a proto-diamond. This is using 2 structures. There's also something else with this that reveals the flaw too. See, again, this structure, the Ashiana Dean structure, not to pick on Ashiana Dean, but she's the one who has a copyright on this. So you see that in the vortex math number groups, okay, you see the 369 and you see the 258 in sequential order. Well, using this format, the 147 is out of phase because it starts with 4, then 7, and goes to 1. That's a clear indication that this thing is not divine or perfect. And the thing is, with the people who are considering this to be the universal tree, I mean, that's fine if you want to call it that, but it's not that. Because to say that this thing is universal and a subject of the greater truth of all being, it has to satisfy 2 criteria. And over here I have, there's 2 things. You got words and numbers, okay? Words are feminine and numbers are masculine. Words are jargon and numbers are hard evidence, okay? And so using this as a template could only satisfy one of these, just the words and jargon. So if you're applying jargon to this, that's what the Kabbalistic Tree of Life does. The Kabbalistic Tree of Life is just a bunch of fucking jargon, but the numbers don't work. And this is the same thing. You can apply any amount of jargon to this you want, but the numbers clearly do not work in this structure as it is. It's false. So it's only satisfying one of these criteria, the words and jargon or the feminine principle. The actual numbers or hard evidence aspect is missing from this, so there's no fucking way in hell that this structure could be a universal anything except a universal tree of fucking delusion and jargon. That's the only thing. If you want to call it that, then that's more accurate. But it's not universal. It's only satisfying one of the criteria, the jargon aspect, the word aspect, because the feminine aspect is about emotions, but emotions are fickle. Emotions have no real substance. They're fleeting. You know, but the masculine aspect is about numbers. Numbers are firm, numbers are rigid, and numbers don't lie unless you make them lie. But numbers are hard evidence. Numbers are hard evidence. They're either correct or they're not. So this only satisfies the feminine aspect or the jargon aspect. The math or hard evidence aspect falls flat in its face. And this is what this does. This is why this is nothing. This is why this is fucking wrong. You know? But now, what you see, this is the web grid laid out in diamonds. Okay, this is the single-digit code using a diamond matrix. Okay, this is that web. This is congruent in every way. You can see it goes across. You see 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, and this is the same congruent web as in that video. Everything's the same. Okay, but it's showing. It actually reveals 2 diamond structures. You see here, this is the root. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is one complete diamond structure. And you can see it alternates polarity. See, the bottom starts out with feminine. This next row is masculine. The middle is feminine. And this next row is masculine. And the top is feminine. Well, the polar reverse of that is the exact opposite. This starts out with 10 as a masculine, then feminine, masculine, masculine. So there's 2 of these that play together. This is going back to the 2 phases of this single-digit code. Okay, and there's a really powerful reason why that works and why that is in place like that. And we're going to see that because on the web matrix, the original video about that, I said the angular numbers alternate. And they go through, this is a good spot to show that. It goes, the even numbers 6, 8, 10, and then you can see if you reduce this would be 3, 5, 7. So it would go 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 1, 3, 5, 7. It would alternate polarity, but that's only when you reduce them. If you keep them true, if you keep the numbers true, it stays polarized. So they're all even numbers. So 6, 8, 10, 30 is even, 32 is even, and 34 is even. So these are all masculine numbers, even though when you reduce them, they become the opposite. And this is the same thing, 3, 5, 7, 27, 29, 31. These are all the same. So what this does in this infinite web matrix, because keep in mind this is now infinite, is the polarity is always the same on this line. This line will never deviate polarity. This line will never deviate polarity. And this line will never deviate polarity. And you can even interchange blocks and matrices, because in the like you see how this goes across. This would be 3, 4, then 5, but that's 23. That's not a 5. But that 23 reduces to a 5. So you can take this block really doesn't belong here in the number scheme. This belongs on top of here, not here, but I just put it here to show what's going on. But you can take this block out, put it where it belongs, then put another one of these over here and fit it in. But it doesn't change a goddamn thing except for the root, number. For, you know what I mean? Once you reduce it, it doesn't change a thing. Now, but there's a lot more going on with this too. This isn't just a funny, cool diamond shape. There's a lot going on with this that validates this. Now, this satisfies both criteria. This satisfies the words and jargon, because the words and jargon that I'm using to describe this fit, and it also satisfies the masculine aspects of numbers and hard evidence. This satisfies those criteria. So this is more universal than this abortion could ever be. Okay, now, so what's going on with this? You're going to see it's a diamond shape made up of the 9 single digits, okay? In the number of every single, in the center of every single one of these is going to be a 5. The 5 is going to be the center of the diamond every time. So we see a 5 here, a 14 here, which is 5, a 32 here, which is 5, and a 23 here, which is 5. That 5 will always be in the center. And keep in mind, the center of the true tree is a 5. The heart of the true tree is a 5. But that's not all. All of the outer numbers on the outer diamond reduce to a 4 every time. It's always going to do that. Every number, no matter what it is to infinity, is always going to reduce to a 4. So now we're seeing the center is a 5, and the outer diamond is a 4, and that reduces to a 9. But it goes even more than that. What you have now, that 5 in the center is going to be one sphere, so 5 plus 1 is 6. And now the 8 spheres of the outer diamond will always become 4, so 4 plus 8 is 12, but that 12 becomes a 3. So we're seeing the 6-3 presentation here too. So again, this is satisfying both criteria, words and jargon, and numbers and hard evidence. But it goes even more than that too. In the other video I mentioned a zipper. Well, this does something similar. But this time we're going to stay just using the polarity aspect. It does work both ways on this zipper, because between the zipper it goes 417, 417. And if you use the other angle, it still stays 417 all the time. But I'm only using the polarity angle here just for a reason. But so you got 417 in the middle of here, and of course 4, 1, and 7 reduce to a 12 and become 3. Now on the upper one, you see how it offsets, it doesn't run through. So on the other way you got a thing that jogs up and goes down, jogs up and goes down. Well, so what you're doing on this aspect is just using the number groups to link the diamonds. So you got 147, 147, and the bridge between that here is an 8. We got 258, 258, and the bridge between that becomes a 1. And then of course we got 369 and then 369, and the bridge between that becomes a 3. Well, 3, 1, and 8 also reduce to 12 and become a 3. So it's sort of saying like the conduits between each diamond is a 3. And what is a 3? A 3 is a female number. And what is the difference between the masculine and feminine? The core difference between the feminine and the masculine is the feminine draws inward and the masculine expands outward. That's basically, in a nutshell, the biggest difference. Yeah. So it's saying that this is sort of the glue that's holding the diamond shapes together. And now, on the diamond shape itself, every series of numbers that run through the 5 all reduce to a 6. So in this case, 3, 5, and 7 reduce to a 6. The 9, 5, and 1 reduce to a 6. The 6, 5, 4 reduced to a 6, and the 8, 5, 2 reduced to a 6. This is sort of like the cube of Saturn in a way, or even the normal number groups. The normal number, because this is what this is. You can see that these are drawn as diamonds, but if you look at it, it sort of looks. It could be like a 3D rendition of squares, sort of floating in space. You see how that, they're drawn in 2D as diamonds, but in a 3D presentation they would be square plates, which in a way has a powerful link, because if they were viewed as square plates, this 4 and this 4 would be a continuous conduit running through. The 5 would be a continuous conduit running through. The 8s would be all the numbers would be a continuous conduit running through. So it could be like a tubular model of fibers running through this thing too, and they're both polarized. Like this tube would be polarized one way, and this group of 9 tubes would be polarized another way. But right now I'm just going to keep it in the diamond 2D form to show what's going on. So every number that runs through that 5 reduces to a 6, and 6 is about expansion. So this is the expanding principle in the center of the diamond pushing outward, and the 3 is the glue that are holding the diamonds together, sort of. That's just an analogy. That's just my jargon. That's just my version of words and jargon to explain what's going on mathematically. That's all. It could be bullshit. Who knows? But but it is congruent from the masculine numbers and hard evidence standpoint. Now, another thing that it does is you see how there's more numbers here. There's like these 2 numbers that run this way will always reduce to a 5. Down here will always reduce to a 6. Well, this is the heart of the true tree. This is the heart of the jewel. If you go the other way, these numbers will always reduce to an 8, and these numbers will always reduce to a 3. Okay. Now, if you add the 6 and the 3, that becomes a 9. If you add the 8 and the 5, that becomes a 4. And as we saw in the last video, the 9-4 combination is really important with what's going on. And on the Osiron Tarot Spiral, the 9-4 combination shows up everywhere. And 9 plus 4 is 13, 9 times 4 is 36. So we're seeing that powerful link with this as well. So there's a lot going on with this structure here. This is, I'm naming this for now, the Diamond Thunderbolt of Lord Osiron. This is showing the infinite web of fractality, how when you lay it out using its diamond presentation, it reveals a lot of amazing and congruent things. And this is the, I'm just saying it's the Ashiana Dean structure, but I don't know if she is the one who actually invented this or not, or if she just put her brand on it using her portals and whatever she calls it. I'm not exactly sure about that, but this structure here is by no means universal. This is not a universal tree. This is just a poster board for someone to put their words and jargon on, but it doesn't. See, this structure was invented by someone who doesn't know what the numbers do. Someone made this up and they don't know what the numbers do. So to them, this might look really cool, but it's not congruent, it's false, because this 1 certainly does not belong here. This 1 does not belong here, and this 12 does not at all belong here. If you took this structure and put it into this web grid, it would seize. This web grid would seize and destroy itself. That's how false this is. But that's really, it's fucking so. To call this a universal tree is just like calling an abortion your fucking, it's like calling an abortion your pride and joy, child, or, whatever. It's like calling an abortion the family heir to the throne of your family line or something like that. Something ridiculous like that. The analogies are coming on slow today, but so that's that. So this is the Diamond Thunderbolt of Lord Osiron, and a more in-depth explanation of the pentagram structure. So thank you and namaste.